All right, welcome back to the shop. So I just started tinkering with this M1114 just real quick to see where the oil leak was and check a few things on it. One thing I did, I checked the brake fluid reservoir and they drained it. It was almost empty, but we topped that off. We've got a pedal again. I pulled this plate off of here. I pulled this plate off here to see where the leak was, and it's coming from this cooler here, and it is the cooler for the hydraulic system for the winch. And I tracked it down a little bit. Instead of just a steering pump, it's got a hydraulic pump that runs the steering, runs a brake booster, and runs the winch. And the cooler is cracked right up in here, right on the other side of this main tube here. So this top cooler, I was just assuming was a condenser for the AC. It's not. It's 3 coolers all in one. I haven't checked down to see which part of it's which, but you can see in here there's a cooler that goes down about this far, and then there's another cooler that's just got 2 tubes right here, and then the rest of this cooler is for the hydraulic system. So I'm gonna have to pull this out and weld that up. That's not gonna be a big deal. It's just I have to unhook a lot of crap and get it out of there, but it won't really take that much work. That'll be a separate video. For this one, I am just gonna take this JIC fitting loose, take it off, take this hose off, and I'm gonna couple them together, you know, with a double male JIC adapter. And then I can top the hydraulics off, and I'll be able to start this thing and get it off here. As far as the issue that it wouldn't start, I went underneath and tap on the tank, and it's bone dry. So they drained it completely. So I'll just put five gallons of diesel in there, and we'll prime it up. And then I should be able to get it running and drive it off the trailer, just so this thing has some dignity, you know, so it's not being drug off and shoved in over here in the line of all these vehicles here waiting to get worked on. I'd really love to get it started and pull it off. So I'm going to do this. I won't video the whole thing. I'll just video a couple spots of it, and then definitely video it starting and driving off if we'll get that far.
Please keep that in.
Should get some oil out of this. Dry as a bone. Oh, can you hand me that adapter? See if I got the right size. Oh, that's a double-sized one. Dang it. Okay, well that's the size. I think that's number 12 JIC. I've got to go get a different one that's number 12 on both sides. All right, so this just for the video to help you guys out, if you have to do this, it takes a 1-inch wrench. And what you do, so I've got a crescent on this end, I've got a 1-inch on here. If these are too tight to pull, what you do is you just get the wrench and the crescent, or both wrenches with a little gap like that, and just squeeze them together. And then you can do it without putting too much stress on the piping going into the cooler. Because if you just start yanking on this thing, you're just going to twist that pipe, and you're just going to make more problems for yourself. So this side here, we definitely should get oil out of. And we didn't. Must have drained back, I guess. Oh yeah, it's starting to come out. So I'm going to pull this hose up and around. Hopefully it's not too stiff. Even though this Humvee's only got 800 miles on it, it was built in the late 90s. This thing was built in probably 1999, 98, 99. So the lines are going to go like that. I'm just going to go get another coupler like this, but this one's number 12 and number 8, or maybe that might be 6. I'm going to go find another 1212 in my service truck. All right, JIC. There's a big one, 16. All the good stuff always sinks to the bottom. It's just a fact of life. Here we go, 1212.
All right.
Probably should have cleaned it. The threads of this adapter have a little bit of gunk in it. Just from rolling around in my toolbox probably 20 years. Should have took a wire wheel or a wire brush to it, I guess. All right, so I'm just bypassing this temporarily, just so we can start this thing. But I'm definitely gonna pull the cooler off and fix it permanently. Yeah, it's weird that that cooler is leaking. It's so few miles on this thing. It might be why they downed the truck. Because you wouldn't think that that cooler would be screwed up with only 800 miles on it. All right, so I'm going to have Alex crank it over, and we'll watch it for, make sure that that is what the leak was. Yeah, that's it. So 100% sure that's what the leak is. So I'll have to pull that cooler pack out of apart, the top coolers anyways, pull them off, and I could just weld that up. That'll be easy. So now we're going to put some fuel in it, and then we'll prime it, and hopefully this thing will start and drive off the trailer. All right, so I've just got 5 gallons of diesel in this can. I'm going to go ahead and pour it in. You see it's labeled here JP5, JP8, or diesel. It'll burn any one of those. So I'm going to dump 5 gallons in, and then I think we're going to throw the air filter back on. There's a bunch of dirt in the boot here going to the turbo, so we're going to wipe all that out, and then we're going to set the air filter back in just in place so I can put my gas rag in there. And some of you guys probably haven't seen my video. I do have a video on bleeding diesel systems, on a quick way to do it without needing to pump all the fuel or crack all the lines or whatever. I use a rag, I soak it in gas, I wrap it around the air filter, and you crank it over, and it'll run off just the fumes coming through the rag. Doesn't hurt the thing at all. It's better than starting fluid because it doesn't wash out your cylinders. It doesn't make it knock or anything like that. It'll just roll nice and slow, and then I can see if it's going to build oil pressure before it even starts. And then by the time, you know, it doesn't take very long. It'll suck the fuel up in and bleed itself while it's running off the gas fumes. So I'll show you guys that in this video too. All right, so popping the air filter back in is real easy. You just get the clamp on the boot. I just popped it into the boot, and then this part here pops into this hole here. It does have some like camper tape, some type of sealant on there, which I'm going to replace later. And then it goes to the stack. I do have the stack, it's in the back. And then there's a bracket underneath here that these hose clamps just notch into, and tighten these up, and it's back on. And then we'll tighten that one too. Then we'll go ahead and pull the cover off and do our gas rag trick. Go. All right, that one's in. Oh, I screwed that one a little. There we go. So, filter's back on. Now we'll just pop this out. Of course, they don't leave room between this hood stop. I might have to loosen this and push it more. That's cool. There we go. That's good enough. I don't know if this is a single filter or double. I haven't had one apart yet, so hopefully it's a double. Nope. Nope, single one, but we can still lay a gas rag in there. We just have to be careful we don't suck it into the turbo. Look at that brand new filter. This thing only has 800 miles on it. Amazing. What's the date on that filter? 2016. So the last time they ever serviced this thing was somewhere after 2016. So, okay, let's let me tighten this clamp here. I just realized we could just put our gas rag right over the intake here. And I'm just going to put the filter back in. That way we don't run a risk of sucking the filter into the turbo if this thing does something crazy. And then if it decides to run away on us, we can just cover this up and block the airflow to shut it off. It's a good idea to check the filter anyways, to make sure that some critters didn't move into it or something. All right, so I get a rag that, you know, is a decent material that'll hold quite a bit of fluid. Jeez. We're just going to soak it with gas like that. So we'll just lay that over the intake. It's going to just suck that gas as a fume through the rag. Go ahead and see if we can get this thing to start. Get it on the oil pressure gauge. All right, so as we started, I'm going to mainly keep my eye on that oil pressure gauge, and then Alex here is going to look underneath for oil leaks or anything going crazy like that. So let's see what happens. That's odd. It should have fired over by now. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay, I didn't get any oil pressure on the gauge yet, so I'm gonna have to take and double check that oil. I don't know if you guys watched the last video I did on this, but it wasn't on the stick, but I got a piece of tie wire about 2 inches longer, and I ran it down as like a longer dipstick, and it had oil on it. So I want to make sure, but it's possible it could just be a sensor issue or something like that. But I want to make sure I'm not going to run this any more than I just did, just to until I know I got oil pressure. So we're going to work on that, and I'll get back to you guys. All right, so I got it starting without the gas rag. It starts on the diesel, no problem. But it wasn't registering the oil pressure. So I did some more test, checking. Well, here's the hose that goes to the oil pressure sender. And if the camera will pick that up, this hose is rusted. Like at the fitting right there, it rusted all the way through the fitting. So now I have to clear all the stuff off the intake and get to wherever that screws into the block. And hopefully the fitting isn't rusted real bad. Well, what's less of it, hopefully I can get it out. And then we'll have to put a new fitting and a new hose on that. So I guess we're not going to drive it off the trailer today, but I don't know, it's good. At least we know we have oil pressure because oil's gushing out into the valley, and it starts good. So if you pull the doghouse off the back of the engine, this right here is the oil pressure sensor. Here's that hose that goes to somewhere up by the fuel injection pump, and then here's the wires, for the gauge. And you can see the oil running off down the back of the bell housing right here. All right, so thanks for watching. That's it for this video. This is just kind of the second video in a series on this Humvee, picking it up, getting it running, fixing it all up, and making a nice Humvee out of it. The next video, obviously, I'll be fixing an oil pressure line and do some more stuff to get this thing running. I don't know if you guys saw the way that thing started with that gas rag trick that I use. It doesn't hurt the engine. It's way better than ether. It saves an hour of cracking lines and pumping fuel. And I don't know, we'll just keep working away on this thing. So thanks for watching. Hit that like button, please. Share the video with a friend and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching.